Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. Spotter said it was clear. It wasn't clear, and, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I felt. I called him out. He didn't show. And so, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out until it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but...
All right, folks, welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your number one unrefined motorsports podcast. It's Brian here with Rob and Ashley. We're back to talk about Pocono, and I don't even know what else. Probably some other shit. So, folks, how we doing this week?
It's hot, Brian. How about you, True Love? How you doing?
It's very hot.
Well, I still have my shirt on, unlike Rob, apparently.
Well, mine's still on, but yeah, the top might be coming off here in a second. It's day 2 of an incredible heat wave that I'm sure some of our listeners are experiencing right now. Brian, I know you got it in Ohio, too.
Mm-hmm.
Heat index was at 110 today, which is too much. If I wanted that, I'd live in Texas, and I don't, so...
Yeah, it was for my day off. It was not a day I spent much time outside. I mowed the lawn in the morning and then went outside for a bike ride. Well, not that early, but yeah, early enough, and then a short little bike ride around 8 o'clock. That was it, man. It was fucking hot today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was hot in Pocono this weekend, I have to imagine.
It looked like it.
But it also rained a bunch, but that's what we're going to talk about. I know there was an ARCA race. Nobody watched that.
Flat Rock, right? I think I said that every week. It was a Flat Rock, wasn't it?
Elko.
God damn it.
I didn't watch it because it was on FS2, and I don't get FS2, so...
Yeah.
Well,
they're definitely in the cool portion of tracks that they go to. I love all those facilities in the Midwest, the traditional ARCA, ASA spots, but yeah, the racing is just not something I care about anymore. And yeah, we've talked about ARCA at length on this show and why we don't like it. And if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. And so we won't say it at all, I guess, because I didn't watch the shit either.
Apparently a 15-year-old one, so...
Oh, cool.
Great.
That's all I know.
Yeah. I'll probably go to the Toledo race whenever that is, but that's mainly to hang out with Bobby and not so much for the racing, but whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, ARCA happened. Nobody watched. The truck series also raced on Friday. I was kind of in and out watching this just because 5 o'clock on a Friday is like a shit time for me. That's when I normally take the dogs to the dog park, and we did that, and it started raining as soon as we got there. So I kind of had it on my phone, but was half paying attention to it, and I don't really know what the hell happened in this race other than our favorite Cody Dennison crashed again. Yeah, what a shame.
Also, we learned he's 37 years old, which that's
he's a
news
35-year-old incel YouTuber that got Russian funding for a truck series ride. So
it all comes from somewhere.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say I like the afternoon truck shows on Fridays. Usually I'm able to cut out a little early, especially when it's super hot from work. And it's nice to come home and crack a beer and flip on the TV, and there's some racing for me to watch. Back in the old days, it was practice or whatever happened to be on. So it's a nice little return to a former time, I guess. And I enjoyed that race all right. Carson Hocevar, what happened to him again? He had some issue.
There was a restart.
A restart with 25 to go. And Heim was leading, but he had to pit right before the restart because he had a flat tire. So that gave...
He's got 5 wins this year, but he'd probably have 9 if he didn't have bad luck.
He keeps finding new ways to lose races. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's wild. But that restart kind of fucked everything up. Carson got black flagged, and then from there it's pretty much Lane Riggs' race to lose, and he didn't. He managed to win without getting into anybody, so good for him.
Yep. I want to give a shout-out to Patrick Emmerling in the Spire 7 truck. It was the 7, I think, one of those Spire trucks. Of course, he's a modified guy from Long Island, I think, actually. But he's on the tour up here, and he came in a respectable 15th place, was in the top 10 for a while. Might have been his first time in a truck. Certainly one of a few starts if he has done it. So it was cool to see him in some good equipment and do okay. Certainly better than Justin Bonsignor on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we're going to get to it in a second. What the hell happened to him? I remember I had it on the radio.
Blew an engine on like lap 3.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that's the truck race. Saturday, as we mentioned, was Xfinity, and I think the big news going into this was Dale Jr. on the pit box for Connor Zilisch, who was filling in for, I forget his normal crew chief's name, but he's Marty something or other. But he was suspended from a couple races ago from loose lug nuts or whatever. So Dale Jr., one of the only jobs he hadn't had in racing was a crew chief, and being that he owns the team, and Marty apparently told him to do it because, at least for Connor, it seemed like this track was a track, from everything I remember talking about. Setup and stuff wasn't really much of an issue. Not to say Dale would have to be on autopilot, but more or less autopilot. But not to mention the fact that we all know the guys in the war room and getting radio from everybody being told what to do. So
yeah, Dale's not crew chief in that car. 100%.
Yeah, I saw a clip today though from his podcast where I guess he had Connor on, but Dale was saying that Marty, whatever the guy's name was, gave him a playbook before the race that they had written, days in advance. And he's got Marty on the phone, but he said that JRM doesn't have a war room. Marty was sitting at home watching the race on TV and had access to timing and scoring, but that was about it. He said that he kept asking Marty for advice, and Marty was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
you got this.
Hell yeah.
I mean, he was doing a good job. I had the radio on for a bit, and he was doing a good job encouraging Connor, and, he did his job catching the tires and whatnot. So, it all seemed to work out.
First win in an oval for him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, first time on that track, and, listening to the podcast before the show, he said on his first lap on the track, he was second on the board in practice. So,
no kidding.
Really quick learning curve for that kid. And
I mean, it makes sense. Pocono does kind of have a road course element to it, just based on how shallow the turns are, and they're all a little bit different. So it's kind of in the same wheelhouse as a road course would be in NASCAR. But yeah, impressive nonetheless.
My favorite part was Dale said that during practice, when he first put on his little crew chief headset, that he had it on backwards for the entire practice and had no idea. So.
Isn't there a strap on the back of it?
He was like, felt good, fit good.
Oh, man.
So I being that this was Saturday is usually my morning to get up and go to the flea market early. I found a Sheldon Creed Truck Series Championship diecast.
Perfect.
As a Sheldon fan, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this. It was pretty cheap, and I thought maybe it'll bring Sheldon some good luck. It did not. I think he wrecked twice, I want to say, something like that. He had a rough day. There were a handful of different wrecks. I'm trying to remember any specific incidents or whatever that happened during that race. I mean, I did watch the majority of it.
Yeah,
But,
there were a bunch of cautions towards the end, but they were all little things, people just spinning out on their own, or nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
There was that. Elliott was the strongest car all day, and that one restart with 13 to go, where Allgaier just got in there too hot and washed up into him, and that was the end of
How's that?
That battle. But if Elliott couldn't win, I was glad that Dale Jr. got him a win.
Jesse Love was up there too. There was Jesse Love definitely had a chance, but and being that he's Connor's best friend, they didn't race each other incredibly hard, but it was good. And yeah, I like Connor, and he didn't pull any. He didn't have to knock anybody out of the way to get the win, so, and also good. So yeah, it was fun.
Nice. Nice little clean Pocono show for the kids that I didn't watch a second of. Just heard secondhand through y'all and other folks. So I'm glad it was a good time. And yeah, one of these days I'll get an antenna that works. So I watched this.
I'm just gonna send you one. They're like $5 on eBay probably.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, isn't it on that bootleg
It
site?
is.
Okay.
It is. I was busy on Saturday. Was actually my anniversary, my 6th anniversary with my wife.
That's right. Well, congratulations.
It was one of those days where I couldn't have the phone out. Thank you. It was one of those days where I couldn't have the phone out at dinner or hanging out, to watch an Xfinity race. But it's okay.
Yeah. Moving on to Sunday. So rain kind of messed this up a little bit, although I personally had no issue with it because I sometimes, I don't mind races starting early. I don't love like 3 o'clock races. I mean, this one was supposed to be at 2 o'clock, but it got pushed back to about 4:30, which actually worked out nice for me. I was able to get some stuff done around the house before just sitting down, relaxing, and watching the race.
So I got a question for y'all in regards to that. I was out running errands and I got there probably about 30 minutes before the race actually ended up starting. How did Prime handle the rain delay coverage? Did they at all?
They stated, I mean, they kind of jumped around the Earnhardt dock a little bit here and there, sporadically, but they did a lot of interviews with whoever they could find, so
Nice.
they filled the time.
Yeah, I was wondering if they would do the flow racing thing where they just throw up a "We'll be back soon" screen, or what they would do. That's cool to hear that they try a little bit, because they really don't have to.
Right.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, it's probably good that this is their last show, and they can do a bunch of extra stuff and whatnot. I will admit though, since I don't really watch much of the pre-show shit, this week was my first time even seeing the puppets.
Oh.
And what the hell? Why? Like, that's the stupidest thing that I think they did the whole time was puppets.
It was my
I'm
least
excited.
favorite Prime thing.
Yeah, I don't get that at all.
This is going to sound wild to say out loud, but if puppets are the big problem with the broadcast, I think I'll take that.
I guess I just don't get like story. Like, I don't even know what the hell they're all about. Like, who are they supposed to be? Like, were they just fans or something? Like, I don't get it at all.
I guess they're just random bar patrons that Steve's explaining the races to.
Oh, okay. Well, that's silly.
Bar puppets.
You ever brought a puppet to a bar, guys?
Can't say I have. No.
Puppets scare me a little
Get
bit.
some ideas now.
Puppets scare you a little bit. That's news to
maybe
me.
not Muppet puppets, but definitely like ventriloquist.
That's a little different.
Yeah.
Those things are all possessed.
Absolutely. I watched enough Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, there's enough Christian youth group stuff that involved ventriloquism to fully ruin those for me well into my 40s. So we'll see if I get over that someday, but I don't think so.
So yeah, the Cup race finally. Cup race got
Fucking therapies over here. How do you feel about puppets, bro?
I have no problem with puppets. They're totally fine. Yeah, the Cup race started around 4:30, and it was fine.
It was good.
I'm trying to think of what happened. RFK had another good day, despite Keselowski having 2 issues. One, I forget which caution it was, but he decided to come down and pit when the pit road was closed.
From the
no
lead.
idea what.
Yeah.
What's that?
From the lead.
Yeah, from the lead. No fucking idea what happened there because TJ Majors wasn't on the download this week. Although they said on
Too embarrassed.
yeah, they said door bumper clear. He was like, yeah, I just fucked up. Like, it just fucked up, which is very funny. And also too, Denny and Carson both played chicken a little bit. They knew pit road was closed and half followed Brad down just to see what the hell had happened because they didn't know what Brad was doing. And they're like, well, if we're behind him, maybe
Draw the rest of the field. Yeah.
yeah. And nope, just Brad went in by himself, just fucked that all up. And later on, towards the end of the race, in the middle of the last green flag pit cycle, he was working his way back up front and unfortunately stayed out a little too long and got caught by SVG spinning out and bringing out the final caution. He still managed to get a top 10 out of the day, and that was all 3 RFK cars in the top 10, so
Yes, it was.
another great weekend for them. what the hell else happened? A lot of brake failures. Let's see.
Wallace, right? Yeah. Yeah, it was the whole
23
team, wasn't it?
Well, Tyler didn't have a failure, but they brought him into the garage to check just after the other two guys had their failures, and McDowell did too. Didn't mention that, but they brought him into the garage for a minute just to check and see if they could change anything, but he was able to get back out there. Didn't have a good finish, but it is what it is.
We had Stenhouse and Hocevar battling for third, and Hocevar seemed scared to pass.
Oh, yeah, he did not.
Yeah.
He sat that one out.
There were a couple times on like restarts and stuff where those guys were right next to each other. And it was just like, oh boy.
Yeah,
But
Carson
also,
just let it happen.
yeah,
Sure.
but also too, I mean, if you're gonna do something on a track, Pocono's not really the place to do it. Probably one of the more dangerous tracks in the circuit, and probably wouldn't have been a good look if Stenhouse dumped him and got him hurt or whatever. So he can save that for the next two road courses we're gonna run. So
Hasn't stopped Denny Hamlin and Ross and those guys before from getting a little chippy.
yeah, not at Pocono though. When's the last time you seen somebody wreck somebody on purpose at Pocono?
Denny wrecked Larson, didn't he?
Yeah.
When was that?
It
3
was a
years
couple
ago?
years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Corey LaJoy also took out half the field last year, too.
Right,
So
yeah.
that was that.
And Kyle Busch caused a big wreck on Sunday.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, there was one big one at one point, like 5 or 6 cars. I remember that now. Really, the big story was the end. Denny definitely had the best car of the day. It's hard to argue that. But at the very end, in the pit cycle, it was him and Chase Briscoe up front. Unfortunately for Briscoe, he decided to pull out of his pits a couple seconds early and didn't get a full tank of gas. We saw his crew chief pissed as fuck on the pit box. And basically, it seemed like he was going to be, I heard 3 laps, I heard 9 laps short on gas.
Yeah, depending on how the cautions fell, if there were any, it was.
Yeah.
No matter what, it was bad.
It was bad, but somehow no cautions happened, and Briscoe, by running way less throttle than normal and just rolling the corners, somehow was able to be faster than everybody else and save all the gas he needed.
Finally learned how to drive a next-gen car.
Yeah, and got his first win in the 19 car. I'm a Briscoe fan. I know Rob is too.
Yep.
True Love, do you like Briscoe? I can't remember.
No, not so much.
Not so much.
I'm
Well,
pretty
I'm a
indifferent.
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
whatever.
Chase.
But yeah, I was very happy to see that. As he said, he needs to win. You don't get a ride like the Joe Gibbs car without winning. Mentioning that, we're down on
What's
year
his
3 of Ty
Ty?
Gibbs not winning anything. So
Yeah, he's safe.
Little-
Briscoe is not, though. I mean, you can't even imagine what that pressure is like. It's one thing to show up at a team and, have to fight the odds, which is what he was doing at Stewart Haas, and pulling success out. But when you go to a place where you have to win and you aren't getting it done, it doesn't matter if it's the team's fault or not. You're the one who's going to end up getting sent down the river if it doesn't work out and get your reputation ruined. So I'm sure he's on a 1-year deal, right? I think Briscoe's on a 1-year deal.
I don't know.
I think he is, and this is his big shot, and I don't think he probably didn't see a 9 live situation like Ryan Preece has managed to pull out of the ether in his future. So I was stoked to see that again. I do like Chase Briscoe. I was a little shocked that he got that ride in the first place, but I loved that, and I think it's got to feel good.
I just don't trust anyone that's never eaten a hot dog.
I know, it's a
in
problem.
their entire life, and who's never drank a beer in their entire life. I'm not anti-drinking at all. If you drink at some point in your life, and then you're like, no, it's not for me. But to have never drank a beer,
You see, for me,
eaten a
it's
hot dog in your whole life,
true love. It's the combination of the two.
yeah.
It's kind of a one or the other. It's like, yeah, you don't drink, whatever. Some people are Christians or their dads were alcoholics, whatever the fuck. It's okay to not drink. It's okay to not have hot dogs, but it's definitely sketchy to not have done either, living in the United States of America. So I'm with you on that one.
Just something ain't right with that boy.
Maybe that's why he's okay with standing down in the pits of the Chili Bowl and signing his own T-shirts and shit, but I don't know. I like that. Yeah, I know people were pretty bummed out about that race. The Gluck poll, which is, a purely emotional piece of nonsense, put it at 43%. But
That's bad.
I enjoyed it. And again, I think it has a lot to do with the Prime presentation and that booth and the way they're able to present a race and make it exciting even when it's not. They're not all going to be bangers, especially at Pocono. And that was a pretty standard Pocono race, if you ask me.
I feel like Pocono had like a resurgence in the past few years with excitement, and then that race just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas was the same way this year. That race wasn't all that great, and they had put on some, spectacular shows in the past couple years. It's gonna happen sometimes. It's hot. Everyone's fucking melting out there. I mean, the stands were packed regardless of the fact that it was uncomfortable out. Yeah, so...
The thing about Pocono is it's hard to pass there, and it's been hard to pass there for a long time, and long before this new car with dirty air being more of an issue. So it's kind of just how things happen with Pocono. I mean, even 30 fucking years ago, the races were not the most exciting. So it's probably better that they only have one race anyways.
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree with that. But to call it a bad race, I think, is a bit of a stretch. They can't all be whatever the fuck people are pining for. That doesn't happen every week in racing. It's just impossible.
I just think it was kind of a happy accident that Briscoe had that mistake on pit road, because it really, if he'd gotten a full can of gas, there would have been no suspense. It would have just been him driving off for the most part. Although, who knows? Maybe he would have overdrove the car and then he would have been there. But regardless, it was a nice, interesting end of the race, I thought, at least.
Yeah, I spent the race out on the patio at the house.
With your new misting fan.
That's where I'm going with this. Yeah, folks at Lowe's, they sell this little cheap piece of plastic. It's a misting fan kit. You can clip it on to any fan you have and up to a hose, and it makes a mister. And again, it was in the mid-90s on Sunday, which is pretty brutal up here, especially when you're not used to it. And it's definitely one of the first super hot days of the year. And I just put the air conditioners in. House wasn't cold yet. And I was like, fuck it, we're going to hang out on the porch. And that's what we did. And I just sat there, cool as a cucumber, and just getting ever more soaked as the afternoon moved
Is there no, like, electrocution risk with that?
Listen, I don't know. I watched... So I kept my eye on the sort of... the splash zone coming off the fan,
okay.
Because it's on pavers, so you can kind of see what's getting wet. And miraculously, I think the technology, if you can call it that, works in a way to where it does keep it away from the fan motor in the back. But good. I don't know, it doesn't feel right. But I bought it from a store, so it must be good, and I'm gonna go with that until it blows up a fan in my backyard. You don't use it inside anyway, so it's all good. But yeah, highly recommend it.
Definitely just get your basement all wet.
I'll tell you, if it stays hot like it is down here over the summer, it might have to happen. Put a tarp down or something and just set up a water park down here. But yeah, I think it's like $10 normally. I got mine for $3 during the winter. Best purchase I ever made. You too can live at a tropical paradise if you go to Lowe's with a fresh $10 bill. But yeah, I enjoyed the experience of watching the Pocono race, mostly because of that. But like I said, kudos to the Prime team. That of course, that's the last broadcast of their 5 races they had. Or was it 6? I can't remember.
It was 5.
It was 5, yeah. And I know we're getting some of the same elements going into the TNT broadcast, but obviously it's cable television, so there's some limitations to what they can do and can't do that Prime was able to do just because they didn't have time constraints or episodes of fucking Law and Order to put on TV. But I don't know. Kudos to them. Like I said, if Puppets and Corey LaJoy are the only 2 things we have to really complain about the presentation, then that's a huge step up. I don't think there was a weekend where anyone had much negative to say about it. I mean, maybe you guys have some feedback, but I don't have any.
I have no negative feedback, from anyone or anywhere. I loved every broadcast. It seemed like they somewhat accomplished what they wanted to do. I think maybe overall the ratings were technically down from last year, but also the demographics changed, which I don't want to get too deep into that, but they got a lot more younger people watching the race, which is definitely a good thing. And, much like other sports that have gone to this streaming format, it seems like the first year, it's a little bit of a stepping stone. You have to get people to sign on and move over, but it seems like everybody that's done this year after year, they only see increases in viewers. So I have a feeling next year will be even better. I wish they could somehow add more races onto this and take some from Fox because, again, the overall quality was just so good. And my cat's meowing into the microphone.
That was a good one.
My cat was a fan also.
Oh, buddy. He doesn't like puppets either.
No, not a fan. But I loved it, and I can't wait till next year. Although, again, going into TNT, it'll be a nice little. Again, TNT's good, NBC's good. It's really just Fox that sucks.
I kind of forgot that it's the same broadcast booth in TNT, so
Yeah.
Dale Jr.'s not going anywhere. So
That's true. I just hope they learn some lessons from watching that Prime broadcast on showing battles towards the rear, just the overall structure of the way they present the race, camera angles, etc. Hopefully the folks who do TNT, which I guess are also the NBC crew from what I gather, or at least large portions of it are, I hope they were taking notes because I got no complaints about Prime. And as somebody who already enjoys the majority of the racing he watches on streaming, this was a real easy sell for me to not have to worry about watching it on cable and having 3 hours of fucking commercials. And again, there are ads and you didn't really even notice it. At least I didn't anyway.
No, I mean, they only showed full screen ads, I think during cautions.
Yep.
And anytime it was green, they always did picture in picture. And, usually the last, I don't know how many laps would always be completely commercial free. So I mean, it's everything that everybody bitches about forever about broadcast TV. All the problems were fixed, but just people, the old people were just like, I don't know how to fucking do this, or certain people, and I'm trying to think who, even Mark Martin himself, it's like, I use Prime all the time, I didn't even know I had streaming. So it's like that type of deal. It's like, Jesus Christ.
That's a messaging problem, and honestly, there's no old folks listening to this, I don't think. And I know we've been a little harsh on y'all throughout this process, but let me encourage you from a positive standpoint here. You are missing out if you don't get on board with this. I know it's annoying. I hate change too, but this is a good one. If this is the kind of quality of coverage you're going to get, it's definitely worth the free trial or signing up to buy. Because you buy toilet paper or whatever the fuck else you need year-round from a warehouse brought to you by a drone. So I don't like the feature either, but it's here, and at least we get good coverage out of it. So
Yeah.
I had one more note from the Prime post-race show. They were kind of wrapping up and doing their drinking segment that they do, and they showed a full Dale Earnhardt video from Instagram on.
They did, yes.
The broadcast.
No shit.
It was great.
Yeah, I know he was excited about that, so that was cool.
That would have never happened on cable.
No, definitely
Absolutely not.
Well, it was funny because the video itself was like Dale drinking how everybody drinks during that post-race broadcast. So he was doing his impressions, and it was pretty funny. So that was cool. So we talked about nobody watching ARCA. There was an IndyCar race at Road America that I might have seen 5 seconds of.
It's pretty good. Alex Palou ended up winning.
Yeah, I would say the only note that I have from that is, while I'm not a fan of his, Santino Ferrucci getting thrown a beer after podium the race.
It was a Hail Mary from the top of the hill there.
Yep. And I also saw somebody took a screenshot. Oh, it's raining real bad now. Someone took a screenshot after the race of Palou pouring champagne into a glass, and then Santino lighting a cigarette, and just like guys being dudes.
Yeah, bad weekend to be a member of the Penske Racing organization. All those cars had major issues. Will Power got around. Just things not going all that well at Penske in the IndyCar world right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that beer that he chugged was 100% foam.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, when
It
you
did
throw it
sail
from
200 yards.
yeah.
Shot out of a T-shirt cannon.
My only note was the incident last weekend where Dee Francesca had the cameraman run into him.
Yep.
I saw a clip where Dee Francesca brought that camera guy a bottle of booze to apologize for stopping in front of him. So
Nice.
lots of booze in this race.
Yeah, it is Wisconsin, so they get to drinking up in Wisconsin.
One place where they don't drink is Nickelodeon, and
Hell of a segue, Brian.
there was a tweet that I think was fake. I could not find any evidence of this on Twitter, and I think it was in the shitposting group, so that should tell you what you need to know. But somebody made this up of Bob Pockrass announcing rumors of Nickelodeon broadcasting some races next year with Brexton Bush, Keelan Harvick, and should also note this is fake. They spelled it Keenan Harkin in this tweet, and Cash Boyer, who I've never even seen Cash Boyer.
He's a little boy.
Well, I'm sure he's a little boy. Yeah. Doing the announcing, which, again, this has to be fake, but I would not be opposed to it.
Yeah, not at all. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, it would be good to get more kids involved, and, again, I'm not necessarily going to go ahead and watch that broadcast. Like, I've seen, I've tuned into some of the football games with Nickelodeon, and they do some interesting stuff, and I know F1 did a kids broadcast, which to me wasn't really much different than the adult broadcast.
Still didn't make it entertaining.
Yeah, didn't help much, but again, the thought was there, and I mean, if this was to happen, I'd be all about it, but
yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't try something like that. Like you said, the NFL broadcast, it does work. And if you have the bandwidth to do that and put it on your network, I don't see why you wouldn't give that a shot, especially if you're trying to hook in younger viewers.
Yeah. Let's see here. So following up from Mexico, Tab Boyd, who was the spotter that got hustled out of money outside the hotel
$30
in a scheme where somebody fleeced him trying to exchange American dollars for pesos, and
Which, to be fair, that's on him.
Yeah, it's definitely on him. He got let go from his job spotting for Ricky Stenhouse. His wife was on Twitter kind of refuting all the reasons why, but then never actually gave us the quote-unquote truth. So who the hell knows what happened there. But I have a feeling it was probably something... There's probably some other stuff going on. Like, that tweet was stupid, but it wasn't like...
Yeah, it's absolutely fucking insane that he got fired for this, if that was the reason anyway. Again, like we were kind of talking about it, I feel like seems like one of those straw that broke the camel's back, But then you see Ricky Stenhouse's reaction, and he seemed pretty bummed and shocked by it. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like it was a team issue. I will say this, and I'm not going to say why I know this, but apparently the host of our fine was actually from NASCAR, but Spire kind of let him. They took the brunt of it so they wouldn't turn him into another fucking Brandon Brown type situation.
Well, yeah, the teardown and maybe even Denny themselves said that. Like, it was more NASCAR was going to do it, but...
The team took the hit instead.
Yeah, the team decided to do it just to kind of keep the heat off from the sport. So, that is what it is. I mean, it's...
But the reason why I bring that up is I got to wonder if this also was NASCAR stepping in as well. And if it was,
I guess it's fair.
Fucking ridiculous. And...
He's still spotted in the truck and Xfinity race this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. So it's confusing. It's a bummer. Again, like I said, who knows what else is going on? None of us really know. But if it was because of that tweet, that's fucking ridiculous. And that shit shouldn't happen. So it's definitely an overstep.
I mean, it was a stupid tweet. It was a stupid move by him to get fleeced out of money, but... it wasn't nearly as bad as like something Brett or
Carson even. Carson said way worse shit.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and we've all said much worse things on this show than that, and we still have jobs, so I don't think I deserve to get fired for talking about people getting fucked in the ass or whatever things I do on this show. But then I also keep my work life in this very separate for a reason, so... I don't know. That sucks, though.
I can't fire myself, so I can say whatever I want.
And you shall. Speaking of saying Speaking of saying whatever they want, Mark Martin was on Kenny Wallace's podcast, not the Dale Jr. one, but his own conversations with Kenny or whatever it was. And Mark definitely held no quarter talking about his feelings on the playoffs and NASCAR in general.
He's been vocal about that for
he has,
the last few years.
I don't think it's been as well thought out and as much time spent on it as this interview. And, I'm an old boomer, too, now, so I agree with him 100%. But definitely a good listen, I think, to hear his perspective. And, Mark has definitely been way more vocal and around over the past few years.
Yeah. They talked about the playoffs on Door Bumper Clear. Jenna Fryer was on this week, and it seems like something's going to happen.
Kelly Crandall, wasn't it?
Oh, Kelly Crandall. Sorry, getting them mixed up. But, it sounds like something's going to happen. Nobody just knows what yet. Personally, I wouldn't mind if they went back to the original chase format, where at least, you lock in the guys in the playoffs, and then it's 10 races to figure it out from there. That, to me, makes a lot more sense. Like, I'm not a hater of the playoffs in general. What I don't like is I don't like the winning you're in, and I don't necessarily love the rounds. I
don't like it coming down to one race at the end.
No, I don't think anybody likes that. I've kind of recently, I've been meaning to bring this up on the show. There just hasn't really been an opportunity because we kind of avoid talking about this. Not on purpose, it just doesn't come up because it always comes up when we actually get to the playoffs. But I kind of have an opposite opinion on that. The winning you're in thing doesn't bother me. I just think that if you win a race, you should be playoff eligible. And further, I don't think you should be able to win a championship at all if you haven't won a race. If you're really going to put that much emphasis on wins, then let's go. I don't care what the fucking point system is. If you haven't won a race, you don't get to win the championship. And that takes care of that problem, the Matt Crafton, almost Matt Kenseth issue. And that should eliminate all that. And, keep the rounds, keep it a point system. I don't know who gives a shit. But if you can't win races, then maybe you shouldn't be bringing home a title at all. And if that's how NASCAR wants to run this shit, then, maybe that's a way to do it, regardless of what the point system is.
I think the win you're in deal would probably be a bit more. It would carry a bit more weight if there wasn't 16 drivers in, because that allows the guys, again, not to shit on Shane, but allows like Shane's and allows Harrison Burton and whoever else, Austin Dillon if he'd gotten in last year. It allows those guys to get in the playoffs, even though we all know they have no fucking chance of winning.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen.
I think if we're going to put a premium on winning, then you shouldn't be able to have even a route to the championship without winning one.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 4 drivers who make it. I don't care if it's 16. Hell, have a fucking 5th guy who's at the top of the points who didn't win a race. Add him in there, whoever it is. I don't care how you do it. But just imagine like a race where Chase Elliott, and I only mention him just because he's at the top of the points without a win right now. Or out of all those drivers, he's at the top. Imagine him being at the point all year, and then having to win a race to be championship eligible. Like, that's the same fucking drama we get out of this playoff system. But
it'd be interesting, I guess, because that would be a scenario we've never seen before. If we get down to, the last cutoff race and you have to win, doesn't matter if you're fucking on. That would probably cause so much more outroar, though.
Oh yeah,
so much more.
But I think it's almost a little bit more fair if we're going to put a premium on. Again, no one's listening to me. It's just a thought I had, and I think Steve Letarte maybe has floated this before. But I don't know, if we're gonna put that much emphasis on winning, then let's really do it. Let's go hard on this one.
Yeah, that's fair. Any input, True Love?
I don't have any input. I don't really agree with anything Rob just said, but I've just never been a fan of the winning your end deal. So
I'm just saying, if we're gonna,
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I think just cutting off, 10 or 12 drivers should be the max. Like that should be it.
Yeah.
16's too many. That's almost half the field.
But I think one thing we can all agree on is, which everybody else has agreed on, we already said it, we can't be settling this just at Phoenix or wherever the fuck we're going. There needs to be more to it than that.
Yeah. All right, so moving on, there were more rumors this week about NASCAR moving in more new markets. San Diego popped up as another potential road course race or street course race. It's been rumored for a few years now. Kelly Crandall seemed to think it was maybe a red herring that they're going to bring this up when they're working on some other spot. I know there was a report from Steve O'Donnell that came out this week about looking into a race in the Philly area, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Philly just doesn't seem like a NASCAR market to me at all. But, you know, Pennsylvania has plenty of racing in general. So
there's so many racetracks within an hour and a half of Philly.
Yeah.
But they're dirt fans. I don't know. I haven't seen the demographic layout there, so maybe I'm wrong about this. I think that'd be cool, honestly, what they're describing. I forget the name of the stadium, but it's a college football stadium with a big track on the inside. It would be another version of the Clash, essentially, but it doesn't sound like they're putting any sort of, and maybe it's just the vagueness of it being a new thing, but it doesn't sound like there's any sort of gimmick all-star race Clash kind of thing being attached to it. It's just NASCAR going there, and I'd be curious to see if a points race would be something they would consider for a place like that when they pretty much shat on that idea for the Coliseum or for Bowman Gray, because it would have to change the format of the race so much. So I don't know. That'd be interesting. I would go to it. I think there's direct flights from my shitty little airport down in Philly, so that'd be fun to get to. But I don't know. We'll see. What do you think, Trilla? Would you want to see a temporary Bowman Gray down in Eagles country?
I don't know. I've never been to Philly, so don't have any opinions. I've
listen,
only driven through it to get to New York.
Ooh, sorry.
Listen, we hear people bitching about Mexico and Chicago. Philly is way worse than Chicago. Philly is way worse than Chicago. So.
Yeah, I don't really. I see the point, and I also don't see the point, but I don't know. I'm not going to complain about
on that
it.
list?
On the shithole list?
No, it wasn't San Diego on the street course.
It's definitely on the list, and San Diego's not a shithole, but...
No, San Diego rips. I'd much rather go to San Diego than Philly if I'm picking cities off the list.
Yeah, for
much
sure.
Much better tacos.
Let's see. So this weekend, the Truck Series is going to be at Lime Rock, which is the first time NASCAR's raced at Lime Rock in I don't know how long. Probably since the last century, I feel like.
I mean, not ARCA. K&N has been there, and the Modifieds raced there for a while, but definitely one of the big 3 series. They haven't been there in, God, I don't even know how long.
Are you going or no?
I'm on the fence.
I think you should.
I really want to.
You should, especially now with this new announcement that Jordan Taylor is going to be there.
That's right.
In the 7 truck. So
that's right.
Yeah, if I was close to the Lime Rock, I would definitely be there for that. For sure.
I got to take my wife to the airport, so that's kind of what's keeping me from making a decision. I forget what time her flight is, but if I can drop her off and haul ass down there, then I'm probably going to do that. It's about 3 hours for me, or from Boston anyway. So we'll see. But yeah, Lime Rock's a beautiful facility. It's legendary. It's they call it a short track of road courses because it's so small. It's all grass seating. It's very casual, and it's very fucking cool that the Truck Series is there. I believe, if I saw this correctly, I'm going to look it up real quick. I think friend of the program, J.D. Ellis, is spotting for...
Yes, he's spotting for Jordan.
Yeah.
And I know my buddy Phil, who rides for Front Stretch, he'll be there as well. So,
it's a cool event. Again, I shit on road course racing in NASCAR all the time, but this is one I'm not going to, not just because it's a local event. I just think the track actually really suits the type of racing we're going to see. And, hopefully I get to make it to that. And if I do, I'll go say hi to JD, and if you're out there, holler at me.
Yeah.
Drew, love you going?
I'll be Atlanta.
Oh, wait, no. Atlanta's a Saturday night race, isn't it?
Yeah.
Damn.
So I'm hoping I'll at least get to watch this before I have to leave the house.
All right, we gotta fly through some more news here so we can get to this video of the week.
Yeah, we got a hell of a video coming up, folks.
I'm gonna sneeze. BJ McLeod's Pigeon Forge roller coaster thing just opened. Sorry, I had to sneeze. It wasn't coming out.
I'm laughing at my handwritten notes. I I guess I meant to write BJ's Coaster Opens, but it looks like I wrote BJ's Cooter Opens.
No, I did. Not over here.
No, that's
My handwritten notes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
meanwhile,
I
get your
see.
glasses
I
on.
was like, I did not write Cooter on the notes. PJ's Cooter Opens. The Skull Cooter.
Yeah, my
Sounds
parents...
like a roller coaster.
My parents like to go to Pigeon Forge, so I'll have to get them to go up
Mine
there
too.
next time they're
They
up there.
take their anniversary trips there.
I like Pigeon Forge. It's definitely not a place I would spend money to go to, but I've played there a few times, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
Especially now
I went there a
that
lot
there's
as a kid.
a big old roller cooter up there for me to ride on. And they got those NASCAR branded go-karts up there that are always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, congrats, BJ.
I saw a cute little video from the grand opening of someone's Meemaw riding the coaster. So
Nice. I was going to bring this up in the septic tank, but since we're talking about charter money that Live Fast made from selling theirs, I can bring it up now. Of course, we talked about Mansfield Speedway reopening, courtesy of Matt Tift and his group purchasing it. And he had a cool little feature on Flow Racing recently, talking to Matthew Dillner about some of his plans for the facility and like the condition of the place. And he kind of brought up the idea, or not kind of, he did bring up the idea of having a Savannah Bananas style racing show at the track. Kind of inspired by Cletus McFarland and what he's been able to do by having motorsports at a facility, but it's not traditional short track racing or whatever you'd want to call it. It's a little bit outside of the norm, a little bit more for, non-diehards. And I think this is a cool fucking idea. I recommend watching the video. Again, it's on YouTube, so if you don't have Flow, you can check it out. And it's kind of neat to see the state of Mansfield. It's not quite in the North Wilkesboro category of dilapidated. There's a lot of brand new equipment there, and it's going to be a big lift for them, but there's a lot of things they're not going to have to pay for. And it's definitely cool to see Matt using his millions that he made off NASCAR and using it for some good here. So I'd recommend checking that out. And would you guys go to something like that?
I'll have a chance to. It's only an hour from my house,
Right,
but
yeah.
no, I can't say I'm too interested in it because he even brought it up in the clip, like Savannah Bananas, but also like Monster Jam type stuff, and it's just like I know it's not for me, so I'm not that interested. Like
Yeah.
I'm not to say I'm a purist, but I like seeing actual racing. It's why I don't watch Monster Jam much anymore, because I like actual racing and not so much
Exactly.
dumb bullshit. In saying that, there might be some legs to it, and if it works, great. I'd probably go to it once just to kind of see what the spectacle is, but I understand why people like that type of sports entertainment, but it's not for me.
That's fair.
So I won't shit on it too much, but again, it's just good for him if it works. Great, because anytime you get more people at a racetrack, it's a good thing. But I just know it's not for me, so whatever.
Yeah, if I have to choose between a Lucas Oil weekend at Mansfield and I don't even know what you would call it. What would be an appropriate name for Savannah Bananas with the racing? It's too late and too hot for this. I can't make a joke right now. But I'm choosing the Lucas Tour over that.
yeah.
Respectfully. Yeah, it's just cool to see him thinking outside of the box a little bit, and you need that kind of stuff. You need that stuff to actually establish a new facility, and it's not new, but it is. I'm stoked to see what he comes up with.
He wants to run it as shouldn't say wants to. He has to run it as a dirt track for a while because I think it's going to be like he said $3 or $4 million to pave it, and it's just not necessarily in the budget. So they're going to run it dirt for a while and go from there. But
Perfect.
What are your thoughts, True Love? You didn't chime in here.
You like Banana Ball?
Banana Ball. BJ's Cooter Ball. If it was like a racetrack that's like right down the street from my house and I didn't have anything else to do, then maybe just to support the track. But I'm not driving any great distance for it.
Yeah. I guess I'll say this. Cletus brings his roadshow up to Stafford, and I haven't gone yet. So maybe that's That's the proof in the pudding right there.
You go there plenty of other times. So.
It's true.
For me, the most entertaining form of like not motorsports is tough truck competitions. I will watch tough truck shit all day long. That stuff is amazing to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, any sort of goofy themed stuff, it's just whatever.
Speaking of
new racetracks.
That's right.
Yeah.
Our
So,
AI of the week.
Yeah, I guess this could be a recurring segment now since there's so much dumb bullshit. But yeah, one of our best AI sources, NASCAR Report on Facebook. Legend Dale Earnhardt Jr. announces $69.69 billion NASCAR racetrack project that will redefine the standards of professional NASCAR racing with state-of-the-art technology, luxury suites, and expanded seating, blah, blah, blah. And there's a shot of Dale like overlooking this scale model speedway that like just looks, I don't even know what you'd call this track. It looks like a weird Pocono, but like a total.
It's kind of like
It's Pocono, Bristol.
It's like Concord with stadium seating.
Yeah, and then there's like lions. There's AI lions like all over the track, and then there's another shot of him wearing a fire suit like overlooking this track.
He's in the middle of the model, just on his knees.
It's just ridiculous.
You'll see. It's
The pit road entrance, you have to go through a tunnel to get to pit road.
Yeah.
It's just
So many
fucking
things.
Formula One.
Let's see here. So, jumping around a little bit, Denny Hamlin had his kid, and he didn't name it anything crazy. What was it like?
Jameson Drew.
Jameson Drew Hamlin,
Yeah.
which is a pretty normal name, especially
That's
compared
super
to the
normal.
last. Yeah, compared to the last handful of names we've heard from NASCAR drivers. But in saying this, he used ChatGPT to help pick the name of the kid. I wasn't paying too close attention when he talked about this on his podcast, but basically, I think they had a list of, I think he said like 30 or 40 names, and they kind of used ChatGPT to kind of like, I don't know, cut it down or figure out which names would sound the best or something to that effect. But
he kind of just used it as like a chart system to like put the first names and middle names together, just kind of visually see and kind of narrow it down from what sounded stupid and what didn't. But he really wanted either like a JJ name. He was pushing for James Jett, which is stupid.
ugh,
JJ
yeah,
Hamlin would be a cool name, though.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Jameson Drew, JD Gibbs, and then the first guy that I guess owned his late model was a JD, and then he's a JD, so he kind of wanted to stick with a JD.
JD Hamlin.
Yeah, so good job, Denny. You didn't embarrass yourself there. Didn't embarrass your child.
I kind of wish it was Hamlin, but what do I know?
One thing I do think is embarrassing is Ross Chastain going to the Pentagon and hanging out with Pete Hegseth and smashing watermelons with him after his win at the Coke 600. Because that happened this week.
Has that ever happened before?
Not that I can think of. A NASCAR driver going to the Pentagon.
Like the White House makes sense, going to meet the president, whatever. That's old hat these days. But to go to the fucking Pentagon.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a very Marcus Smith thing.
Yeah.
He made it happen. But
Yeah, well, hopefully those
Marcus
watermelons
Smith.
had vodka in them for Pete.
yeah.
Yeah, fuck Marcus Smith, fuck Pete Hegseth, fuck all this. And I love Ross, but that sucks. I was very disappointed by seeing that. Let's see
Comments
here.
were fun.
You think?
Yeah.
You think Ross had anything to do with our little airstrike that happened?
It was they were dropping those melons the day before.
Yeah, maybe he laid a little.
So
Maybe he got some ideas from smashing some watermelons.
we'll
Let's see,
never know.
A
we're
little
gonna be
ripple
at-
in time there, folks.
We're going to be in Atlanta this weekend, and Chris Buescher has a very cool Cinnamon Toast Crunch paint scheme and also a very cool shirt designed by my buddy Harris. I got to pick that up myself.
Yeah, I was reading that since RFK rebranded in 2022, that this has been their best-selling shirt for the company. So, good job, Harris.
Yeah. I
Take
mean,
it to Echo Park Speedway.
It's funny how we shit on all the Kroger schemes with Stenhouse last year because some of them were okay, but a lot of them were just like, the hood's got to be blue, and then they're going to put whatever other sponsor on the car. But whatever's going on in RFK, the paint schemes, they're just working. The cars look great every fucking week. All three of them look great, no matter what sponsor's on the car.
With all due respect to whoever does the liveries or wraps for the 47, I mean, RFK has one of the best visual design teams in the business. So it makes sense that they look better. Every car they put on the racetrack. Even the stupid built submarines ones look pretty good.
That car looks great. I mean, it's a weird sponsor, but that car always looks good.
I think the chrome numbers really help all the paint schemes too.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Let's see. So this week, the NASCAR Bracket Challenge starts, which I have not filled out my bracket. I started to, but as I got bored, I'm like, this sucks, and I don't want to think too much. TNT did put out a funny little teaser video, which I enjoyed, mainly because when Ryan, Blaney and Austin Cindric and Josh Berry and Stenhouse and a couple other people are in it, and when Ryan brings up the idea, I think it's Stenhouse is like, oh, it's like Denny's Bracket Challenge, and Ryan screams like, no. I thought that was a very good acting job by Ryan. It's weird. It's a weird, confusing thing, the way they're seating the drivers, but
I'm filling
money
mine out.
involved for fans and drivers, so it is.
Filling
what
mine out
it is.
as we speak.
Well,
Yeah.
I filled mine out. Y'all make sure you fill yours out before Saturday, and then we can talk about.
Yeah, well, like I said, I got
next week.
I filled out the first round, and then it's like, oh, now you got to do all the rest. I'm like, oh, fuck this. So, when I have more time, I'll do it. Let's see here. In the last couple notes, I did want to mention, so I feel like I mentioned it before at some point, but the new season of Tires, which if you haven't seen it, Tires is a comedy series on Netflix starring Shane Gillis and a bunch of other comedians, and I love it. I think it's a great show.
It is good.
But this season, Ron White, famous from the Jeff Foxworthy, I forget the hell name of that tour was, but Rednecks Comedy, whatever the fuck it was called.
Blue Collar.
Blue Collar Comedy Tour, that's it.
Yeah.
He guest stars in one of the episodes as a former NASCAR champion, a 3-time champion. He was the champion in 2002, 3, and 6. But he's also a washed-up drunk. Very reminiscent of John Daly, but somehow way more down on his luck. Great appearance on the show. And if you didn't know this, Shane Gillis is actually a racing fan. He grew up going to Williams Grove and still goes to races and stuff. So it makes sense to me, especially doing a comedy based around an automotive repair shop, to do something involving racing. And it's the next to last episode. There's 12 episodes a season. It's the next to last episode. You should watch the whole season, but very good episode. And it's funny because nobody knows who this guy is. Even though he's a 3-time champion from 20 years ago, nobody knows who the fuck he is. It's very funny. So you should definitely watch that. And speaking of funny, there's a clip that went viral this past week of, I don't know what the off-road series is, but there's some sort of off-road, truck racing series. These two trucks have this insane battle where they get hooked onto each other more than once, finishing the race with one truck basically fucking the other truck.
Yes, mounted.
Yeah, straight up mounted on top of this other truck.
Some forbidden dog park action right there.
Yeah. We will.
That sounded way worse than I meant it to, folks.
Yeah, but that's exactly what it is, though. That's the thing. It's exactly what it is.
That clip was fucking incredible. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Yeah, the first incident was wild enough, and I was not expecting there to be a second crazier incident. So.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now it's time for the DARF of the week, and DARF of the week this week. It's hard to say. It's weird because this isn't really a DARF of the week thing, because the tweet itself, it's not coming from a DARF. It's more a tweet about DARFs. A guy named Sam H8876. You guys ever been to at a driver autograph session and see people drop die casts? It hurts my soul. I can't
seen
say
it, but
I
it
can't
didn't
say
hurt
I've
my
seen it.
soul.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand it for sure. As someone who's definitely fucked up valuable things that they shouldn't have, I can totally understand that sentiment.
When I went to Vegas last year, what year is it? Last year, my cousin broke into the Chastain line. I watched the guy drop his brand new diecast right in front of me. So, lots of crunching.
Yeah, they're not made that well. That's for sure.
No,
This whole thread-
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say this whole thread just had lots of people sharing their stories about being butterfingers right in front of their favorite drivers. So
Yeah. Didn't really find a good DARF of the week this week, so this had to be the one. But it's just, yeah, anyone who has ever done this, dropping your very expensive item in front of the guy you want to sign so you can sell it on eBay. Actually, I don't feel bad for those guys, but
Well, the funny thing is, the people who want to do that, they are prepared. That's
yeah,
the
they've got
thing.
the
They have their
board
shit.
and the bubble
Yeah.
wrap, and yeah.
Yeah, it's the people that actually want to keep this because they care about it that fuck it up, which is actually not really a DARF thing now that I think about it. It's more just, poor guy thing. So.
I think my favorite comment in there though was the guy saying that it was a SVG line, and there was a guy like telling his kid over and over, okay, don't drop your diecast, don't do it, don't fucking drop that diecast, and then the dad turns around and drops his own diecast.
So that guy is the DARF of the week.
Yeah.
Like I said, kind of a slow news week in the DARF world. I'm sure there were plenty out there that I could have found, but I didn't. So this is what we got. And these people punished themselves by breaking their cherished items, so we're not going to hand down any sentences this week.
No, we are. Your sentence is a closet full of 1997 Racing Champions diecast that you have to live with the rest of your life that are worthless.
What's wrong? What's wrong with that?
They're just worthless. They're worth nothing at all.
Sounds fucking great.
Still in the cardboard. The cardboard looks like shit.
You're just describing my basement right now. I'm sitting in that room you're talking about right now.
Every flea market booth I've ever been to.
Seriously.
And with that, it's time to dive into the septic tank.
It sure is, and I had a chance to dive in personally on Wednesday night. I had mentioned in the previous episode I was going to go to Thompson Speedway for one of their midweek open modified shows. I was about to leave work, and I looked outside, and it was a complete downpour, and I was like, well, that's not a good sign. But Thompson's, 40 minutes away? Let's see what the weather is there. Weather app says it's raining. And listen, I've done this at Thompson 1,000 times. At least 3 or 4 where I've gone there against the weather. Like, you know what? I'm going to go support. I'm going to buy my wristband. I'm going to get a pit pass. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to do it no matter what. And then ordered a beer and sat down, and it immediately downpours. And now I have a wristband that stays in my fucking refrigerator until World Series weekend. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the night off. I'm not going to bother going down there. The car counts have been kind of lousy. I turned into the kind of DARF. Maybe I'm the DARF of the week for doing this. In fact, I am. I am this week's DARF of the week because as soon as I pulled in my driveway, literally the clouds just cleared. It was bright and sunny, and I checked Race Monitor, and everything was going off without any problems whatsoever. Rain never actually fell at the racetrack. My weather app was wrong, and they got the whole show in. And apparently a lot of people showed up. Pretty big turnout for a Wednesday night show, which is not something you should be surprised about if you've gone to Thompson recently. All those shows generally have pretty good crowds, despite the fact that some features only run 5 or 10 cars. But they're building it back up there, which is good to see. I got to miss a John McKennedy win in the open modified feature. He beat Mike Christopher Jr. and Ron Silk, who I believe is probably everyone's favorite going into this. Would have loved to have seen that, but, it is what it is. And the other local division's starting to build up a car count just a little bit. A little bit of drama on the street stock division. They changed the rules last week to open it up to bring in more competitors, but it just kind of screwed the track locals because they've had these cars built to Thompson rules for years. And now that the rule book's thrown out, all these guys that have actually stayed committed to the track are no longer fast, which kind of sucks. And there was some, the Sundin family packed up and left, and that was kind of crazy. Larry Barnett a little bit off the pace. But yeah, that's a bummer. But still, they have more cars, so I guess whatever it takes to build a division. I'm not the one running the racetrack, and I'm not going to bitch about that. But I will bitch about the fact that I was an idiot and I didn't go, and I am your DARF of the week because Thompson rips, and it's like 20 minutes from my house. I guess I could have gone, but I made dinner plans and all that, and got to keep goodwill at home. So, but an update on West Virginia Motor Speedway. Of course, I'd asked True Love if she'd drive by and check on it from time to time, and she rudely said she wouldn't do that.
Well, it is like 9 hours from me. So.
Well, that's not my problem, is it? No. It's closer than it is for me. But friend of the program, James Honeycutt, was kind enough to check in as he was driving up to Lernerville over the weekend. He sent me 2 updates, one at about 12:30 at night, saying that they are not working on the track at this time, and it was just a photo of complete pitch black. Makes sense. And then on his way back, he also sent me a photo letting me know that there is equipment on the track, but they were not working because it was Sunday. So thank you, James. Really appreciate it. Sounds like things are moving in the right direction down there, albeit slowly. And I look forward to more updates from the folks out there. Hopefully one from True Love at some point. You end up there from time to time, so I'm sure we'll get another one out of you. Speaking of Lernerville, the Lucas Oil late models were out there. The Thursday and Friday prelim nights rained out, which was a huge bummer, leaving the entire Firecracker 100 weekend down to Saturday. They just scrapped the prelims and had a normal show, and Jonathan Davenport won $50,000 off that one. No real surprises there. Hell Tour continuing to roll on. Again, friend of the program, Kyle Armstrong, and my buddy Justin were out there in the Simpson trailer selling shit for a good chunk of this. Again, the Hell Tour there's so many more races left, and there's so many races down. I said it last week. I said it the week before. They call it Hell Tour for a reason. It's a tough one to run. Hell, I'm watching it right now on Turf Vision out of the corner of my eye. But yeah, a lot of races to go through here, so I'll keep it brief. At Davenport, Ryan Gustin picked up a win. Lee County, Tyler Erb managed to break his sort of bad luck streak that he's been going through there. Of course, that's last year's Hell Tour champion. He picked up a win and picked up a bunch of points that night. They were at Peevely for a couple nights. Bobby Pierce won on Friday, and Drake Troutman won the World of Outlaws show on Saturday. Tyler Erb picked up another win at Lincoln the following night, and that brings us to tonight. Where are they at tonight? I know where they're at. Hang on a second here. It's in the notes. They're in Springfield right now as we speak. Cade Dillard is leading the heat right now. And we'll talk about that next week. But Jason Fager's still on top of the points with Dennis Erb Jr. and Tyler Erb in second and third, respectively. No relation between those two guys, by the way, just to confuse things further for y'all.
What?
And here comes True Love's favorite portion of the show, where I list off a bunch of fake-sounding racetracks. They'll be at Tri-City, Macon, Farmer City, Clarksville, Old Number 1 in Harrisburg, and Benton in Missouri coming up for the rest of the week. And I think there's about 14 more races or something like that left in the Hell Tour schedule. That's all on Dirt Vision pretty much every single night, so if you got a Dirt Vision subscription, I recommend checking it out. Also at Peevely, the Extreme Outlaws were there, and Camden McIntosh won on Friday night and decided to use his Victory Lane interview to talk shit about Nick Hoffman for some reason, so fuck that kid. Can't drive Cannon, as we call him. But I guess he can drive because he did win. I think he's atop the Extreme Outlaw points right now. World of Outlaws were at Huset's. It was kind of a 4-night stand there, but it was split into 2 separate events, both of them paying $100,000. Kyle Larson picked up the win on Thursday night, or Wednesday night? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's what it was. On Wednesday night, Kyle Larson picked up a win. Buddy Kofoid won on Friday night, getting $100,000 there. Big story this weekend was Bill Baylog having a really good run, the North Pole Nightmare. Has been showing up lately. Always kind of got buried in the field before the big split between High Limit and World of Outlaws. Definitely a talented guy, but kind of got lost when all the big dogs were there. But he's certainly found some speed this year. He picked up a win on Friday night when the actual High Bank Nationals kicked off, but didn't have anything for Buddy Kofoid come Saturday night, and he won another $100,000 check. Huset's is a cool racetrack. A lot of people bitching about the format for this. Lots of weird points and inverts and shit, and it's not as big a track as Knoxville, so it doesn't really work out all that well. And shit, it doesn't really work all that well at Knoxville sometimes, but hey, it is what it is. Still some great racing, and Buddy Kofoid coming out there and showing everybody that he's got $200,000 in his back pocket now.
Boy, this next name.
The Jim Raper Memorial Dirt Cup out at Skagit.
I have had some Jim Raper shirts, and they always move pretty fast.
Anyway, Houston's not the only $100,000 show this weekend, and Trey Starks picked up $100,000 out there at Skagit. for the Dirt Cup. That's good shit right there. That was a cool show. All West Coast guys for the most part. A couple of high limit dudes showed up for that. Most everyone else was out at Huset's, but definitely a chance for some of the lesser known 410 guys and more regional guys to pick up a lot of money. And Skagit always puts on good racing. And you get to hear Blake Anderson on the mic. That's always fun. So I enjoyed the shit out of that. Speaking of Kyle Larson, of course he won on Wednesday night at Huset's. He's going to be running the 360 Nationals at Knoxville coming up. Brad, you'll probably get to see that, which is exciting.
I'm excited, very excited.
I don't
for sure.
think any other NASCAR guys are running this. I mean, I guess Stenhouse and Briscoe are possibilities since they both run and have 360 sprint cars, but I don't think you're going to see them on there, and I really doubt Christopher Bell's going to show up either since because of his Saturday race embargo he's got going on. I don't know if they'd come out there and give it a shot. The 360 Nationals end up kind of being sort of it is a preliminary for the 410s, 410 Knoxville Nationals, the granddaddy of them all, and a lot of guys will use the 360s as kind of a chance to get into the groove and get used to the racetrack, etc. But I don't think either of those guys are going to be at Knoxville either. I haven't heard anything about Christopher Bell going there for either of those races, which is a bummer.
Well, I got tickets, so whatever. I'll be there.
And this is a late entrant here for the septic tank tonight. I just got a text from, again, friend of the program, Kyle Armstrong. They provide half the things I talk about on this show. But he just sent me a post here about a company called Trackside Suds. You can smell like your favorite driver. That's right. There's Jason Fager branded soap you can pick up. You can smell like Bobby Pierce. They're $8 a bar. It's called Trackside Suds. So,
Irish Spring, like rebranded?
It's got kind of like a cool neon farmer's market looking vibe going on here. Bobby Pierce's soap does kind of match the late model, which is cool. But yeah, if you want to smell like your favorite dirt late model star, you can certainly do that by checking out Trackside Suds. I guess it makes sense if you're hanging out at Eldora or someplace camping and you don't want to go to the Walmart and pick yourself up a bar of Irish Spring like normal folks would.
That's fair.
Or you can put this on the old souvenir shelf at home and make your basement smell nice. There's a lot of short track racing coming up this weekend. High limits at Wheatland for, I think, 3 or 4 nights, something like that. It's a big show. World of Outlaws are at Cedar Lake. That's always a fun show. I expect to see David Gravel do pretty well there like he does everywhere else. USAC's going to be at IRP. In Winchester for the Rich Vogler Classic. That's always a great show. And they're going to be at Fremont as well, Brian. PA Speed Week's kickoff as well. That's going to be fun. That's all going to be on Flow Racing. World of Outlaw late models are at I-94, River Cities, Norman County, and Nodak. On the pavement side of things, the Wheeler Modified Tour is at White Mountain up in New Hampshire. That's a badass little bull ring. They started going to during COVID, and it just never left the schedule because it put on such a good show. Tri-Track and the American Canadian Tour at Seekonk. Tomorrow night, or that's Wednesday night if you're listening to this. Again, it's so tonight, I guess. And then ISMA is going to be at Oswego. Shout out, Stacy. So if you want to watch some short track racing, there's plenty of it to get down to. And
should also mention, because Stacy told me about this, if you're anywhere near Oswego, Johnny Benson will be doing ride-alongs this Saturday.
Oh, shit.
In a super modified. I would be there. Unfortunately, my parents are going to be in town this weekend, so I cannot make it. But I would definitely do that if I were you.
Damn. And Oswego's a badass place anyway. And the ISMA show is always pretty cool. So, yeah, that's the Septic Tank this week. Not so much any short track racing going on in NASCAR. They're in Atlanta and Lime Rock. But like I said, I guess Lime Rock is the closest thing to a short track that you can get out of a road course. So maybe we'll count that this week. Especially since ARCA is going to be there. Which, if I do go to this, that'll be probably the first ARCA race I've watched since Daytona, I think. Or maybe it was Phoenix when Butterbean got wrecked and I decided I was done with it. I couldn't tell you. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and flush it down because I just can't wait to talk about this video of the week.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack here. Folks, I can't describe to you.
Flush the goddamn toilet, Rob. Let's go.
I'm just going to say, I've said this a bunch. There's been some good ones, but this is an all-timer, folks. So,
yes, 100%.
Here we go. You let me finish that one. That was cool.
So yeah,
Anyway.
I mentioned last week. So my buddy Justin brought this up in our Discord. He's more of a cult movie guy, and Mike, who's been on the show before, told me I should watch this, and boy, am I glad they did, because this is right up my alley. So, The Devil at Your Heels. This is actually a somewhat famous, especially in Canada, documentary about stuntman Ken Carter and his attempt to jump a car a mile over the St. Lawrence waterway. I forget what the hell it's called, but
River,
waterway? Something like that. And
it's a fucking river.
Yeah, this. I don't necessarily want to go. I have notes for the whole thing. I don't necessarily want to go shot by shot through this, but you have to watch this. If you did not watch this already, if you've never seen it, this is, I would say, if not the best video we have ever watched for the show, it is amongst the top 3. It is, I don't know, man. I love weirdo documentaries, first off, and when you incorporate any sort of motorsports element to it, which stunt driving isn't. It's not motorsports. It's definitely more entertainment than motorsport, but it's close enough. To me, it counts, which is why I picked this. But I don't even know where to begin, folks.
Yeah, I'll say this. Again, we've watched a lot of videos on this show. A lot of them have been great. Some of them not so great, but most of them are pretty excellent and worth watching if you're a race fan. This one just transcends the boundaries of all the racing content we've watched on here. I don't care. Obviously, if you're listening to this, and especially this far into the episode, you're on board with this already, so we don't have to give you the sales pitch, but I've sent this to so many people, even before the show here, saying, man, you better check this shit out. People who don't watch racing don't care about it, and every single person that has watched the first 5 minutes of this have ended up watching the entirety of the documentary, because it's so goddamn ridiculous in the best way possible.
It hooks you incredibly quickly. Just because the movie starts off with a shot of so the guy Ken Carter, again, he's a Canadian stuntman who, stunts and stuff were definitely way more popular in like the 70s and 80s, just because
definitely the Evel Knievel.
Yeah, you're on the heels of the Evel Knievel era in this time period, and Evel is even in this documentary. But right off the bat, the movie starts off with Ken and this other guy dismantling this rusted out old Chevy to jump it later on, and he's like pushing the car and showing how rusted out it is, and now just this shell of a vehicle, and he's like, well, fuck it, more or less, and we're gonna jump this thing,
which is essentially the spirit of this entire man's career.
Basically. Yeah,
the second he opened his mouth to say his first words in this movie, I was like, oh, this guy's definitely taking some hits to the head.
Yeah, and he mentions like being a cross-eyed kid from Montreal. I wouldn't say he's necessarily cross-eyed, but like if you're a wrestling fan and you know what Shawn Michaels looks like now, like the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, he has like a weird sunken eye that kind of makes him look cross-eyed, and that's what this guy has.
I feel like it got worse the older he got, or maybe I just noticed it more.
You're talking about Shawn or this guy?
This guy.
Oh, okay. So Shawn's has gotten way worse as he's gotten older, but this guy, I would say, as the movie progresses, his look changes. His look gets very in tune with the 70s as we pass through this movie. But
this first version of him in year one, I thought that he looked like the actor Gaylord Sartain, who died last week, who was in all the Ernest movies and Hee Haw. That's who he reminded me.
Okay, yeah,
I see that.
I didn't recognize that name, but yeah, yes, I 100% can picture his face, and he does look like him for sure. Yeah, so basically the premise of this movie is this guy Ken Carter, he wants to jump a car a full mile across the St. Lawrence Seaway, crossing from Canada to the U.S., and he wants to land in a bed of roses just
Because it's soft.
Yeah, because it's soft.
Never mind the thorns. It's soft.
Yeah, it's insane. They start off with him jumping this car that they show him dismantling, and he ends up like spraining his ankle. There's a lot of really cool in-car footage, and the quote was, "There goes that ankle again," because they kind of have to pull him out of the car. He jumps his car on top of a pile of another car of a handful of other cars. He talks about he's been doing this for 20 years, 3 jumps a week.
He started with Joey Chitwood.
Yeah, he started with Joey Chitwood, and then he started his own, promotion. And his promotion, the cars have like suicide written on the side of them.
Yeah.
It's just fucking insane. Like when I saw that, I have looked for merch. I could not find any merch for sale anywhere, but I would love a shirt that just says "Suicide Jump" on it.
Yeah. If you're familiar with stunt driving from the 70s and the sort of thrill seeker daredevil thing, you might know the name Mad Canadian. That was his nickname, I guess.
Yeah.
And I had heard that before, and it took me a few seconds to put it together. It's painted on his helmet and all that, and that's when I realized, I know who this fucker is. But I didn't really know who this fucker was.
Yeah, he does this jump in front of the crowd, and on the stretcher, he's telling people to come back tomorrow. He's going to do it again at 8 o'clock.
Finish breaking his back.
Psychopath.
Yeah, he starts off, he's trying to do a promotional tour to gain money, gain funding to do this jump, because it's going to cost, the equivalent of $1 million or something like that in today's money to get this done. He builds this jet-powered Dodge Challenger that never even leaves the trailer. He just brings it around and starts the jet up for people to show what he's trying to do. At one point they're on the St. Lawrence Seaway talking about what the jump's going to look like, and how he wants to, like I said, land on a big bed of roses, and he's talking about, avoiding trees and all that stuff.
Last week when you brought this movie up, and you kind of gave away the ending, and I was like, oh man, spoiler alert, but after like 10 minutes into this movie, I was like, oh, well, no shit. That there's
Of course this wasn't going to work.
That wasn't much of a... It's not about the ending. It's about getting there.
It's the journey. It's the friends we made along the way.
So many friends.
One thing I wanted to point it out during this promotional tour, because also, too, the documentary, it takes him years to actually get this jump accomplished. Like, it takes, I think, 5 years from the start of the documentary to the end to actually make the attempt. The first year is a lot of promotional stuff. When they're showing off this jet car in like LA or something, there's a guy with the most insane sideburns.
The Elvis-looking guy?
Yes, I already got a screenshot ready for the post because they're that insane.
Yeah, this collection of men hanging out in front of this car is something else.
Yeah. Let's see here. So he talks about, at one point they go back to his hometown in Montreal, and they explore the ruins of the apartment that he grew up in, and he's just like, yep, this is totally fine. And it's just this dilapidated apartment complex with half the walls missing and stuff. He started off as a 16-year-old kid delivering groceries, and he knew he didn't want to work a 9-to-5, and somehow he got into stunts. And like we said, he started off on the Joey Chitwood show. He broke his leg on his first show, and eventually started the International Hell. He worked with the International Hell Drivers, with death and suicide on the side of the cars. Let's see here.
I saw Oswego written on the side of one of the cars.
I did see Oswego. Yeah, they must have done something at Oswego at some point.
Yeah, he definitely did a lot of these shows at the tracks in upstate New York and Canada. They spend a lot of time at San Air, which we'll get into in a little bit. Cayuga was the first place they showed on the video.
He has another guy named Tom Barry, who is one of his drivers, who I thought for the time He was like a young, good-looking guy, and I noticed he had a Winston Cup patch on his fire suit.
Tried looking that up.
Which, this is the early. I mean, this is 75 that was filmed, and so the very early days of the Winston Cup series.
I didn't see his name on Racing Reference or anything.
Yeah, I mean, it might have just been just a suit he had or whatever.
Patch he put on.
Basically, so the year one, he's trying to get $250,000 to the jump, and he fails. Year two, it starts off, he gets a sports agent named Ed Keating, who managed a bunch of athletes in different sports. This gets him a $250,000 contract with ABC to show the jump on Wide World of Sports, which did a lot of this type of stuff anyways. A lot of the Evel Knievel jumps were on the Wide World of Sports and other weird random motorsports things, so kind of in line with what they were doing at that point.
When they cut to year two, I didn't recognize Ken at first because he looked so different.
He totally changes his look.
His face is like swollen. It's like fatter and swollen. He's got a goatee, and to me, he looks like Richard Petty in the 70s. If Richard
and the
Petty was
turtleneck,
a coke dealer.
Yeah, total 70s disco guy look going on.
He looks like a fucking magician. Is what he looks like. That's a magician.
So he gets the check. He gets ABC involved. So then we get to the jump site, and they're like four weeks out, and the jump is nowhere near completed. It's been raining all the fucking time. They get Evel Knievel to go to the jump site and inspect it, and he's like, this is a horrible idea. Ken, he ends up taking a flight on a stunt plane that does some flips and stuff to try to test the G-forces, and he like gets sick doing that. The jump site is just completely not happening. Like, there's just no way this can happen.
There's a great shot, though, of Evel Knievel, like, lounging on a tractor, giving his opinion, which I loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was Evel. I mean, I think at this point, he was pretty much done. I can't remember when his last jump was, but by the mid-70s, he was pretty much done with that type of stuff.
Yeah, this was after Snake River Canyon, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, 100, because he even mentions it. Like, it was 100%. And, again, spoiler alert, kind of ends up just like Snake River Canyon did. Like, pretty much almost the exact same result.
If there's something that Evel knows about it, is failing very large jumps.
Yes, very much. So probably the next great scene in this is he's never actually driven a jet-powered car before. So he gets this guy, Lou Arrington, and they go to Sand Air Speedway. Lou has this jet car, and he says he's gone up about 250 on it. He's only done 242 in the car, and he wants to get Ken up to like 250. Ken shows up to this test, doesn't bring a helmet, doesn't bring a fire suit.
Favorite part of the whole thing. It was like, you got a helmet and fire suit? It was like, no, helmet's over in Toronto getting painted up, and I didn't have time to get the fire suit today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's much bigger, both taller and fatter than Lou. So he squeezes into this fire suit. They try getting him in the car. He does not fit in the car hardly at all. So they take the fire suit off him, and he does the runs with no fire suit, just a helmet. That's it.
The footage of another grown man trying to squeeze him into that fire suit was so good. I think I watched it twice. And Lou's, he seemed like he didn't want him to try it on because he was going to, like, stretch it out. He's like, I don't know, it's pretty snug on me. Like,
This guy just opening up his entire life to this Ken dude to just ruin it.
Yeah.
Yep.
How did you describe him being poured into the fire suit?
10 pounds of shit into a 5-pound bag.
Perfect.
Yep. They show some footage. They only show footage of one run, and it seems like the first shot, I think the cameraman wasn't ready for the jet and the car, and it seems like an explosion. Like the way the shot unfold. It seems like the car exploded, but he just made a pass. It was fine. They say he got up to like 255 in the car. I don't know from the video footage, it doesn't seem like he goes that fast, but we kind of got to take their word for it. So yeah, Ken's
which is also the theme of this movie. You just kind of got to take his word for it.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, Ken's done 5 passes in a jet car, so he's ready at this point, he says. So within 1 week left of the scheduled jump time, they cancel it. The car's not ready. The ramp's not ready. There's a press conference. Yeah, it's raining a ton. There's a press conference where he talks about this, and ABC also pulled out of this as well. So that's year 2.
Evel Knievel had filed a negative report with ABC.
Yeah. You don't want to show this on television.
No.
Yeah. Year 3 begins. He's got a new manager. He's got new money, and now they're going to. I think they switched the jump site from leaving from New York to leaving from Canada now. Swapped it, more or less. They have a new construction guy. But again, the same problems as last year. Just too much rain. You really can't get everything built with all this rain going on. Also,
the project manager doesn't seem like this is a good idea either. And
no, not at all.
Never on board.
No. The guys building the car, they're testing the fuel tank out, and it exploded and damaged the car, but they fixed it, and they're insistent that the new one won't fail. They cut to another shot of building the ramp. There's a miscalculation, and some of the rebar and mounting posts for the actual structure of the ramp are all wrong, and the field manager of this project is just pissed off and doesn't want to talk to the camera anymore.
That's the last you see of him.
Yep. The 2 mechanics working on the car, the new tank fails, and the mechanics are like, well, it feels like somebody's trying to tell us something. So they decide to build it themselves rather than having somebody else build it for them. This new tank fails.
Done right, you gotta do it yourself.
Yep. The new tank fails, and then these 2 guys just give up. They're done. They go back to New York.
Amazing.
There's a shot of the ramp structure during the winter, and kids are sledding down it, which is pretty funny. And then this is where Ken actually lives. He lives in Canada part-time, but then during the winter he lives in Florida. And this is when it's mentioned that Ken Carter is not actually his real name. I forget his true name, but he uses his government name as his promoter role. When he's calling people up and booking tracks and whatnot, he's Ken whatever, and then Ken Carter is the driver. But at this point, he's almost melding the 2 together, where he's it's almost like a wrestling thing where, he just loses where kayfabe ends and begins. He becomes one person just trying to do all this himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ken Gordon, Polish chick.
There you go, yeah.
It's like he has split personality.
At this point, his financial backers are kind of at their wits' end, and they want him to start putting up some of his own money because they're just wasting all this money and nothing's happening. So he has to start investing his own money. He gets somebody named Slammin' Sammy Miller to test the car and see if he can test the actual car and see if he can get it up to 270. They do 1 pass, and he crashes the car. Not that bad, but the car has, they don't call them wings. I forget what the hell they call them, but they're wings. That's what they are. They're just
wings.
Short little wings on the side of the car.
Stubby wings.
Doing this test run, the wings kind of they fuck up the driver, and he ends up losing the car. Doesn't fuck up the car too bad. He just kind of it's. We also didn't mention this. So while the actual chassis and everything, it's all very custom built. For whatever reason, he decides to just take a Lincoln Continental fiberglass body. Yeah. So this big, not aerodynamic at all boat of a car. This is what he wants to jump with.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. How they'd figured out putting wedges on late model noses by this point. At all
Yeah,
the
I mean-
racetracks that he's been going to, this is something you would see on the track.
Yeah, I mean, granted, this is in the 70s, NASCAR were still just big boats, but, there were actual aerodynamic cars out there. Lamborghinis existed, Ferraris existed, like IndyCar, all these things.
I mean, the Lotus 67 had been around for a long time. Open wheel cars, ground effects were around at this point. Can-Am was a fucking thing. And yeah, you'd think that maybe you'd reference any one of these things
Yeah.
when you're building a car to launch yourself over an international border. But apparently not. So
No. So yeah, he crashes the car, and that's basically the end of year 3. Year 4, nothing happens. Like, he doesn't get funding, the car's not ready, nothing's ready, nothing happens year 4. Year 5, he doesn't have any funding behind him, he's putting up all the money himself, he doesn't have a date in mind. This time around, he doesn't want a crowd, he doesn't want TV. Apparently, he's trying to sell it to some Hollywood producers to make a movie about it and just sell it that way. Let's see here. So there's another practice shot of the car at another drag strip where this time Ken's driving the car, and they apparently like trick him into doing a 250 mile an hour pass. Like, they say, I don't know if it was how much fuel was in the car or whatever, but like basically Slammin' Sammy like doesn't tell him like, oh, you're gonna do 250 this run. They just put him out on the track and he does it, which is pretty ridiculous.
When he climbs out, he's wearing a white suit, which I thought was a risky choice, but
Yeah. At this point, the ramp itself is pretty much built, and he does a little bit of a test run up it, and the ramp is not smooth at all. It's very bumpy, which is not good at all.
exactly what you want for
Yeah.
For this. Boy, that shot of him like getting woed up going up the ramp, it looks like he's pulling into the pits at Cherokee or some shit like that.
Yep.
Just bouncing around.
At this point, he's getting pissed off because he seems like nobody in Canada cares. Like, he says when he's done stuff in LA, he gets all sorts of press out and newspaper coverage and all this. And Canada, nobody seems to give a shit. We see a movie crew arrive, and they show Ken kayaking in this river. Ken's never kayaked before. He can't swim. And this is also when we're introduced to Kenny Powers, which is another one of his drivers. I have to imagine, and I couldn't find any concrete evidence of this, but I have to imagine that's where, they took Kenny Powers' name for Eastbound and Down. I don't know how you couldn't, especially when this Kenny Powers kind of
fucking
vaguely
character.
sort of looks a little bit like the character.
I mean, this whole movie could be Kenny Powers, the TV show character.
Yeah.
when they introduced this guy and said his name, my jaw dropped. I was like, what?
Yeah.
See, I had
Kenny
heard,
Powers exist?
I'd heard of Kenny Powers before, like the
Yeah.
stuntman.
I had heard of him before this for sure, but never actually had seen him or anything like that. So now it seems like we're at the jump day. There's no audience there. There's no press. Ken's not incredibly happy about that because the movie people want it. They don't want any audience there. And Ken, obviously being the showman, wants an audience there. We have famous parachute, like drag racing parachute guy Jim Deese there. Obviously he's supplying the chutes and whatnot for the car.
Isn't Dart Robinson there too?
I think so. A weird moment. So the jump itself is delayed because they need $27,000 to fuel up the car with like this nitrogen peroxide fuel that is in the car. And it takes all day to somehow get the money there to actually fuel up the car. And then by the end of the day, the car, the sun's going down. It's like 6 o'clock at night or something like that. Ken gets ready. They're about to make the attempt. He fires up the car, and then there's some sort of valve leak. First, he thinks it's fuel, but then it's something else that isn't. It's a pretty minor thing, but at this point, it's too late in the day to do it. So they decide not to. They decide to postpone it.
Yeah, just to backtrack a couple minutes here, we forgot to mention him psyching himself up and getting ready before
Oh,
the
yeah.
jump, going through his countdown sequence and doing all these big exaggerated steps. Like, that has anything to do with what's going to be happening in a rocket car. But that's really entertaining, 10, 9, and he's just like doing these like big like cartoon robot kind of moves, like this robot. I don't know, it's fucking ridiculous, and I don't understand how that would have helped him out and done anything other than stress him the fuck out, which it seems like it did.
Yeah, the mechanic's like, oh, we'll get it fixed. We'll do it tomorrow. One of the producers like, I got a bat mitzvah tomorrow with like Raquel Welch and a bunch of other people showing up.
Yeah, paying customers.
Also, too, we should mention this attempt. There's actually a crowd there. There's all sorts of safety people and cops and everything there.
Boats in the water, helicopters. Yeah.
Yep.
Whole nine.
Cut to. Let's see here. Where's I'm sorry.
7 days later.
Yeah, cut to a week later, and nobody's there. There's only 2 cameramen. There's one kid with a shinny tow truck and like a 50-gallon reserve of water.
Water bucket.
2 guys in a rubber boat.
That'll put it out if there's a fire.
It's funny. At one point, they're kind of like the cameraman's bopping around and showing all these different little groups of people, like the drivers meeting. There's a safety crew meeting, and then he just says, what the hell? I'm sorry.
He said there's a heavy meeting.
There's a heavy meeting, and it shows 2 fat guys talking.
This is when Dar shows up, and he goes up to the top of the ramp and takes a look at it, and also kind of shakes his head.
Yeah. But yeah, it got rained out. So 2 days later, this is it. 2 days later,
Well,
they're back.
One more
go ahead,
thing
what-
to add to that is that Ken was ready to do it. He got in the car. He knew that rain was on the way, like 15 minutes out. And he's like getting strapped in, and he takes 45 minutes getting strapped in. So at that point, I was like, okay, he's stalling because he knew rain was on the way. So
Yeah, he's just trying to wait it out.
So 2 days later, they're back, and Kenny Powers is doing it. Long story short, Ken is in Ottawa. He's dealing with the financial backers. He's trying to work on a European tour or something.
Well, the impression I get is that they brought him out there on purpose.
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to say we'll get to that part in a minute.
Okay,
once we get to the actual jump here. The narrator says the financial backers think Ken's lost his nerve and they want Kenny to do it. Kenny is not fucking around. He's like running around yelling. He's ready to fucking go. He's like he just goes for it.
Yeah.
And finally, actually I should mention, Kenny actually, he said the night before he filmed a video for his wife. He's got his young wife there with like painted on shitty eyebrows.
bad.
Yeah, they're really bad. He says he filmed a video for his wife in case he dies, to give to her.
Which, I mean, let's be honest, the odds are pretty fucking good.
Pretty bad. But here it is. It's finally the attempt, and it goes as poorly as everybody thinks it's going to go. The car doesn't get the speed it's supposed to. Apparently
even
he's
close.
not even close. But I mean, it wouldn't matter if it had 300 miles an hour. It still would have been about the same. Just maybe 800 feet instead of 500 feet. Apparently, the actual ramp and the runway was too bumpy. It cracked the body of the car. He wasn't able to get all the speed he needed. But basically, as soon as the car leaves the ramp, it immediately flips backwards. There's pieces of the car flying off. The chutes start going off, and he's right in the water. He was supposed to jump 5,000 feet. He made it about 500 feet.
Yeah. In fact, he made it such a small distance that the swim crew and the frogmen can literally walk up to the car.
Yep. He broke 8 vertebrae, 3 ribs, and his wrist.
Because he hit the ground.
Yeah. But he was conscious and awake through all this, so he survived.
Yeah, he really did cowboy up. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get this over with. He takes too much time. Let's go.
For a man that's already broken his back twice and forgot his special brace at home that day.
Yeah.
I don't think that would have helped.
No, not at all. But yeah, it's just crazy to me. Like, can you imagine? And again, like, part of me wonders if this was on purpose or not. There's a lot of... True Love, you kind of alluded to this a second ago about how, he sat on the ramp for 45 minutes and could have done it, but he didn't. And then we're on year 5 of the project, and things keep getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And again, there's a lot of ways. You could go as deep as you want on this, and I tried not to, wax philosophical too much about it. But I kind of got the impression that this has just become his life's work.
Yeah.
And once it's over, what are you going to do? So just keep pushing it back, make it bigger, blah, blah, blah. I feel like he knew this was the end of his career, or getting close to it anyway. He mentions that several times leading up to this. And the fact that whether it was by his own design or by the design of the film crew, which is what it seems like it is, that the production company is like, you're out of money, this has to happen tomorrow, and so they got Kenny in there to do it. Well, he was talking about doing a European tour and all that as a ruse. Well, that's what I read anyway.
From here, we go back to the hotel, and the camera crew shows up, and Ken is pissed off. It seems like he didn't know the jump was happening.
Yeah.
And eventually, when he calms down, they get him on camera, and he mentions that he was talking to the Europeans about doing a tour, and they didn't want him hurt, so they suggested somebody else do the jump. But Ken does not want. He wouldn't have picked Kenny because Kenny's never driven a jet car. He's only got 100-something jumps under his belt. Like, he wouldn't have had Kenny do the jump. But he didn't necessarily seem opposed to having somebody else do it. So,
I kind of read that as him, after he calmed down, trying to save face a little bit because he got his project taken away from him.
Yeah.
Which, understandably, that's your life's work right there, and it ended in a way that he certainly didn't want it to, I don't think. I felt bad for the guy, even though this is a really fucking stupid idea.
Well, I mean, the movie ends with him claiming that he's going to do it. And, a year later, he's back on the trail to do it. And, little epilogue. He never does it. He still continues to do stunts and stuff for a few years after this, but he ends up dying trying to jump his car over a pond, and the car basically does a front flip and lands on its roof and takes him out. So
I actually watched a short documentary on that last night after I finished this up, because I enjoyed this so much. I wanted to see more content, and I came across there's a documentary about the crash that includes local news footage and all that. And essentially what he did was there's like a shitty little pond behind Petersboro Speedway, and the ramp looked way too tall. And again, like, the landing of these things never really seems like it's like there's ever been any math done.
No, not at all.
There's either a ramp or there's not one at all. And apparently when he was on the ramp, I guess the features at the short track ran really late, and they were doing this like at midnight. They had to paint the car yellow just so the cameras could see it, because it was a black car originally. And apparently he was kind of nervous, and as he was sitting on the line, he demanded they put more fuel on it because he felt like he needed more power. And that ended up being what pushed the car well beyond the ramp, and just shot about 80 to 100 feet up in the air, and then just flipped over and landed on its top. And that was it. That was in, I think it was September of 1983.
Yeah.
So he made it a few more years and kind of stayed in the game, but he never got a chance to settle his life's work here, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Not that it would have happened.
It wouldn't have happened. It's an impossible task. Like, vehicles, whether it's a motorcycle, a jet, rocket thing, or a car, like, they're just not meant to do this. They're not meant to jump thousands of feet.
No,
a few hundred maybe, but thousands, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, lofty goals, which he never met, but it made for an incredibly entertaining documentary.
Yeah.
If somehow this recap has not inspired you to watch this, I don't know what will, because it's just, this is one of those videos, like, out of all the things we've watched the last couple years, this is at the top of the list of you should watch this. This is amazing. Thanks for Mike and Justin for pointing this out to me, and I'm very happy we watched this. So
absolutely.
Any final thoughts from you guys?
I mean, this was commissioned by the government of Canada. It's a state project. They had government funding. It's super well done. Like, it's a very well done documentary. and it's just worth watching. If you don't give a shit about racing, like I said, if you're listening to this, obviously you do. But this just transcends all of that. It's a very bizarre tale of the human condition, I think.
He's got one hell of a condition.
He's got one hell of a human condition going on. Yeah, but I will watch this again. I will continue to show this to people. I cannot wait to sit down with some friends and watch it in person. Like, this is going to be with me for the rest of my life, I can tell you that.
Yeah, normally whenever Brian's like, oh, we got a long one this week, I feel a little bit like a disgruntled employee. But this one was well worth the time. Like, I've never been more enthralled, and held captive, what's going to happen next in one of our videos. And every single person in this documentary is a character.
Yeah, each one more unhinged than the previous one.
Yeah.
But none more unhinged than Ken.
Yeah. The story just really, really captivated me. But towards the end, before they brought in Kenny Powers, it was getting closer and closer to the end, and I was starting to feel like we weren't going to see a jump. Because I didn't do any research on him beforehand, because I wanted to just I didn't want to know if he died in the jump or how he died or what happened. But when it kept getting closer and closer to the end, I was like, man, I might end up knowing what it feels like to have blue balls, because I feel like I'm not gonna get a jump here, and I'm gonna be left stranded. But Kenny Powers stepped in, and
boy did he!
What a jump! But
bent that fucker in half.
Yeah. So, start to finish, 10 out of 10. I've also been recommending it to other people already. So
yeah. And if anything, just do yourself a favor and watch the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, if you're not hooked, then there's no hope for you.
Yeah, you will finish this thing if you get through that. So I assure you, it's well worth your time.
Yep.
Didn't you say this is getting a re-release, or it has gotten a re-release?
Yeah, it's already so Vinegar Syndrome. They're a company that does a lot of cult movies and horror movies and stuff. They just released a Blu-ray of this, so you can check it out there and buy it if you want. There's a lot of extra features and little documentaries and other stuff Ken's done, and not that I'm a collector of much physical media, but definitely some stuff where it's like I'm debating picking it up, but yeah, it just got re-released. And also apparently Jay Baruchel, who's been in a bunch of comedy stuff over the years, he's apparently working on a comedic adaptation of Ken in this documentary. So I hope that comes out, because I like his stuff. So yeah, watch this. It's amazing. But moving on to next week's video of the week. So NASCAR is in Atlanta this week. So will True Love. But I found a video, and so this series is one that I have not seen much of. I mean, I've only seen clips here and there. Video of the week next week, we're going to watch the Great American Truck Series. This is the Big Rigs from Atlanta, 1980.
Hell yes.
Perfect.
I've never actually watched a full race of this series, so that's what's going to be on the playlist next year. See, yeah, I told you it wouldn't be a bad one. It'd be an interesting one. So
man, the replay of that jump was just on my screen, and I don't know how the fuck they thought that was gonna work. Like in slow-mo in particular, it's like,
yeah.
I drove on to the background, and it's the part where he's stuffing him into that fire suit.
yeah. And no ramp on the other side, like.
No, don't need it.
Just cows and roses.
Crash into the roses.
One more thing before we wrap this up. That Kenny Powers quote about how I hope there ain't people over there having breakfast in their farmhouse because they're going to get to know me real fast or something like that. Fucking amazing. Yeah, looking forward to that truck video. It's going to be awesome.
I looked it up to see what the site looks like now, and obviously the mountain's gone, and it's all over the road now, so.
The drag strip portion apparently is still there.
Yeah, that's still there, but
yeah, it's just a road.
Overgrown. And the car itself, like, nobody knows where the car went. I think they took, like, the motor and some other parts and can still use them, but, you know, there's only little bits and pieces of the car left that
Not
people
much
have,
left.
so, yeah.
Floated down the river.
Yep.
God damn.
Cool. So like we already mentioned, True Love's going to be at Atlanta this week, so we'll get a nice road report from her. I'm not doing any racing stuff this week. Rob, are you doing any racing stuff?
If I do, it'll be Lime Rock, and still on the fence about that one. I really do want to go, but again, I got stuff to take care of, so it'll be probably a day of decision if I do. But we'd love to check that out. Might go to Seacock tomorrow night, but we'll see. But I got plenty of racing coming up here before I shove off to Europe. Definitely going to be going to Stafford in a couple weekends and a few other events up here. But if I do, it's Lime Rock this week.
Cool. Well, as always, you can follow us on Instagram at meetmeatapplebees, on Twitter at meetmeatapplebees. I'm Speedway Screens and all the things. SpeedwayTSJ.etsy.com is the shop, and MMA Applebees at checkout for 15% off.
I don't have anything to promote. As usual, I'll be at the track, so maybe I'll post some stories. I did see the sea lions are back this
Yes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, nice.
So
You
it's
get
gonna
some
be
more
hot,
sea
though.
lion footage.
There's a chance of rain, which I'm hoping means it'll be cloudy at least.
It's good for the sea lions.
Because I was like, oh, I'll wear shorts this weekend because it's going to be so fucking hot. And I looked at my legs, and they still have the Talladega sunlight.
Oh, perfect.
Sunlights. So,
Well, that's a badge of honor right there.
yeah, I guess.
RobMotes_unofficial on Instagram. My band's called These Wild Plains. Like I said, I might be at Lime Rock. We'll see. It is going to be great, and I've said it 5 times already. I'm very excited that NASCAR is coming to Connecticut. It's cool to have another event up here outside of Loudoun. So hopefully I get to go, and hopefully if I don't get to go, they keep doing this and keep coming back so I do get a chance in the future. But definitely a cool event, and I wish I could go to Atlanta and hang out. I guess there's going to be a bunch of homies there. Obviously, True Love's going to be there. And Atlanta looks like fun, so wish I could go.
It's fun.
Yeah. See some sea lions.
I'll be there boiling in that tank.
Sea lions.
And with that, looks like the check is here. So thanks for joining us again at Applebee's, and we'll talk to you all next week.